What came first, the chicken or the murder? I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
On the last day of his life, 56-year-old cancer-laden Mardiros Isakendrian got out of bed, put on a white suit, grabbed a 9mm handgun and a .38 caliber revolver, put them in his coat pocket, told his wife he was going to his restaurant, Zankou Chicken, to see an old friend. He didn't go to Zankou Chicken. He murdered a couple of people. We're going to talk about the Zankou Chicken murders, and then we're going to eat Zankou Chicken. It's going to be full circle.
Full circle.
It's going to be really exciting.
Where does the chicken end and the story begin?
Who knows?
Well,
I know.
It starts with the story,
hungry.
yeah.
I'm hungry and I want to get through the story so I can eat the chicken. If you're from LA or you have lived here, you know Zankou Chicken. It's this little kind of fast food, like very unpretentious rotisserie chicken place, and it's Armenian, Mediterranean style rotisserie chicken. It's got hummus and pickled radishes, and it's incredible. Like, it's very delicious.
It's like a chain, but a very low-key chain.
Yeah, and it's a local, it's kind of like the in and out of rotisserie chicken here, if that makes any sense at all. But it has a cult following to it too. Like, you see just people, it's in the media, like it's just like a strange kind of like LA culinary, part of our culinary identity, I guess. But the first Zankou Chicken opened in 1962 in Beirut, Lebanon, by Armenian-born Vartkis Izakendrian. His son, Mart, grew up being fed the famous Zankou garlic paste that would, again, become the signature, and is kind of the best part about going to Zankou, in my humble opinion. His mother, Markrid, is the woman who pioneered the white garlic sauce. And I'm going to try to describe it to you, but if you're in LA, you should try it. It's not a sauce. It's like a paste that you put on pita and on the chicken, and it's really like garlicky, but not like too overwhelming. And it's a secret. It's like a family secret that you can try to replicate, but you can't quite get it right. In any case, Vartkis, his son, Mardiros, created this restaurant. Mardiros was the first child, and when he was older, he was kind of this like famous, successful playboy in Beirut. Eventually, Mardiros settled down and married his 19-year-old neighbor, Rita Hovakimian, after she kept spying on him on her adjacent rooftop. A few years earlier, Mardiros had been implicated in a notorious jewelry store heist and murder, an inside job by 3 friends who killed the son of one of Beirut's A-list families. Not knowing that his friend was one of the 3 robbers, Mardiros let him use his apartments to stash jewels, essentially, from the heist. Mardiros' testimony ended up sending the 3 to prison. From that day on, alert to revenge, he carried 2 pistols wherever he went. Rita and Mardiros shared a 2-bedroom walk-up in the crowded Armenian quarter of Burj Hamoud with his parents, his 2 sisters, his mother's mother, a survivor of the Armenian genocide. Rita was always a little in disbelief at how devoted Mardiros was to his mom. Before we married, he told me, I am going to live with my parents my whole life. I will never leave my mother. But it was too much. My mother, she was the queen of the house, not me. Next to God, it was his mother. So this is the culture that we are starting out this restaurant and this family identity. Right below where Mardiros and his family lived was Zankou Chicken in Beirut, the restaurant they named after an Armenian river. There was no cash register, no table, no chairs. They used every square foot to clean and salt the chickens, roast them inside a pair of rotisserie ovens, and keep the golden brown holes and halves warm. Customers parked on the one-way street ran in, handed the cash to Mardiros' father, and ran out with their order. It was a drive-thru before there were drive-thrus, recalled Gero Derkenjmian, I'm sorry about these names too, Beiruti Armenian who befriended the family. The mother would be standing in the mezzanine in her apron, cleaning the garlic cloves and whipping up her paste. And the father was a cash machine. All day long, the same movement, his right hand stuffing wads of money into his left shirt pocket and pulling out the change. Mardiros was helping turn the chickens when he wasn't having fun. Soon Rita and Mardiros had their first child, Dikran, and planned for their future. In 1979, Mardiros was sitting outside one of the empty storefronts less than a block from Zankou Chicken when 2 men on motorcycles sped by. The motorcycle drivers, wearing masks and clutching AK-47s, circled back around, fired dozens of rounds, hitting Mardiros with bullet after bullet, 16 shots in total. It was a miracle that he did not die. And right then and there, he decided that he had to get out of there and take his family with him. Vartkes Mardiros and his young family moved to LA in 1983, really not wanting to open another restaurant. It was just too hard of a life. It was messy, not worth it, Vartkes thought. After considering opening a dry cleaning business or selling men's suits, the family realized that there weren't restaurants that served the growing Mediterranean immigrant population in Los Angeles. And LA right now still has a growing Armenian and Lebanese population, which started when the Lebanese fled during their civil war. So they did start a restaurant, and they called it Zankou. They picked a tiny place next to the laundromat on the corner of Sunset and Normandy. After a year, word started spreading about Zankou chicken. The LA Times would call it the best roast chicken in town at any price. Zagat would anoint Zankou with one of America's best meal deals. And Jonathan Gold, of course, our favorite food critic, R.I.P., would call the chicken superb, and nothing in heaven or on earth compared with the garlic paste, which is true. Zankou was making $2 million a year, half of it in pure profit. Mardiros was sure that they would expand, but his family didn't want to. In 1991, the family agreed that he could take the Zankou concept and build it into other restaurants that would completely belong to him. In return, he would sign over his stake in Hollywood to his parents and 2 sisters. Of course, the garlic paste would still be prepared entirely by his mother and used at all the Zankous. Mardiros' sister, he would pay her to manage some of the new stores. It was a big family affair, very entangled, and would get pretty messy. Mardiros opened, and again, I apologize if I am mispronouncing names, the second Zankou in Glendale, which had a huge Armenian community, then Van Nuys, then Anaheim, then Pasadena. And the family stayed very tight after their father, Varkas, died. Zovig, her kids, Mardiros' kids, now he had 4 of them, Dikran, Steve, Ara, and Varkas, named after his father, all hung out constantly. While Rita would take care of Mardiros' 97-year-old mom, he would expand the business, hang out in Vegas, do philanthropic work for Armenian causes in Los Angeles. In 2002, Mardiros was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and colon cancer. He was going to fight it, but if he died, he told his sons, Dikran 25, Steve 23, Ara 18, and Varkas 17, that they would be taking over his Zankous. His sisters, Zovig and Hagen, and mother didn't say anything when he announced this news. His mother didn't ask what kind of cancer he had or what his prognosis was, any follow-up questions whatsoever. Instead, she just put down her coffee and blurted out in Armenian, "Your sons. The shadow they cast is not yours. Very, very cold." Then she rose, walked up the stairs to her bedroom, and shut the door. And it's true, his kids were kind of a mess. Varkas, the youngest and maybe the smartest one, was a total pothead. Ara was addicted to painkillers. Dikran, the oldest, got caught in an elaborate scheme to cheat on a law school entrance exam. He paid a fine and served probation, but his dream of being a lawyer was gone. No one would admit him after that. Instead, he went a different direction and became a born-again Christian. The second kid, Steve, had his own issues. In 2002, he went to a motel in Sherman Oaks on a winter night in 2000 to meet a prostitute. He didn't know that she had a listening device broadcasting to her pimp who stole his money. Steve gave chase down a freeway and shots were fired at the pimp and the prostitute, hitting their car. Steve was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, and bail was set at $1.4 million. The prosecutor made a small error during the trial, telling the jury about a prior crime that Steve didn't commit. His attorney objected, and the judge declared it a mistrial. Steve pled guilty to a lesser crime, did a year of work, and was let go. But again, these kids were not exactly high-minded entrepreneurs. Let's take a little break, and we'll get back to all those kids and all those parents.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Hi, hello.
This is the check-in.
Here we are, we're checking in.
Let us know now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah.
No, we're kidding. You don't have to hold it at all. Whenever, we're available.
Constant dialogue.
We're checking in with you.
Yeah.
You can check back in with us, see how we're doing, how we're hanging in there.
Why not? I'm probably on the road at this point, heading to Wisconsin, and again, being as COVID safe as possible.
I'm probably on the road either editing this in the bedroom or the living room.
Oh.
I don't know where life's going to take me.
In a hallway road. I got it.
We don't know, but hello, we want to say hello to our government. Who never takes a break.
Never. They're working round the clock to ensure our safety.
Brandon Gaddis, Jeanette Link, Ben Forsyth, Ashley Matson, under the kind, gentle, but firm hand of our governor, Chris Witt.
Chris Witt. I like how he gets personified slightly differently at every episode. He's complicated.
Our Patreon, thank you for asking everybody, is, because you never heard me say it before, patreon.com/ghosttownpod, bonus episodes, early access with no ads. And if you are a patron and, because when we decide to do bonus episodes, we toil over what kind to do. So if a bunch of people say, hey, we like the crime stuff, or we like the haunted stuff, or we like the weird stuff, or some of the really messed up stuff, we're happy to deliver that, or we'll just keep mixing it up.
Yeah, ask and ye shall receive. We toil over the bonies day in and day out to bring you what you never asked for.
There is a new YouTube video. It is on the Cecil Hotel.
Oh,
Revisiting that one of our early favorites. Kind of went back to that with some visual aids, some hauntings, some interesting hauntings. So that one I think deserved a little replay. So you can go to youtube.com/Jason Horton, or you can find a link in the show notes. Get a subscribe.
Jeanette link in the show notes.
Yeah, find a Jeanette link in the show notes and leave a comment, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever.
Venmo, we'll take it.
Yeah, just Venmo Rebecca. I don't know how that helps.
It helps.
It definitely helps. So we just ate some Zankou chicken.
We did. We took a break, which we rarely do from the actual recording, to go feast.
Yes.
Upon Zankou chicken. We were hungry. We ate. We're sated.
It was research.
It was research. We can write it off.
You know what, though? When you were describing the accolades of Zankou, I would have been like, yeah, okay. But now just having some. Yeah.
That chicken is fucking
Chicken
good.
is really, really good.
That garlic sauce will stay with me physically and mentally for a long time. It's delicious. And it's not even, and actually, we'll talk about this a little bit later, it's not what it used to be. So this delicious doesn't compare to, 2002 delicious, probably. I wasn't here in LA at that point.
A couple of simpletons like us, though.
Yeah, we're all over it. We're all over it.
But that Zankou chicken on Sunset Normandy is still there, right?
It's still there.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah,
that's the one I think we ordered from.
Oh, okay. So
we're living history?
Yeah, we're...
I guess I would say.
I guess this is a true crime investigation. I call it investigative journalism.
Pretty much. I have a storage space with lots of string, all leading to Zankou.
Those 7 pitas I ate definitely help inform me.
That's good. That's good. I'm going to bathe in garlic sauce tonight. But that's later. What's happening right now? Let's get back to the story. In the days following Mardiros, and again, I apologize if I keep butchering his name. I suck. In the days following his cancer announcement, his mother's behavior toward him completely changed. She wouldn't talk to him. She wouldn't socialize with him. She would just go up to their room. Remember, they lived together too. And he had always lived with her. This went on for more than a year. One day when his mother was away at work, he walked into her bedroom and took a photo of him and her when he was a child in Lebanon. He took the photo out of its frame, tore off the side depicting his mother, lit a match, and watched it burn. Then he folded up his side of the photo and threw it away. A day later, or at least the reporting that I saw, their house caught on fire. I don't mean to laugh. Their house caught on fire. Flames shot up from the maid's bedroom downstairs. Him and his wife were stuck on the balcony, choking on smoke when the firefighters finally arrived to rescue them. They packed what they could and went to live at a hotel in Glendale when the house was being refurbished. It was the next to last time he would see his mother. She had taken all of her possessions and moved in with his sister, Zovig. So he's dying. His mother, sisters, nephews, nobody called him. It was only his immediate family taking care of him. He told his son Steve that he was certain that his mother and sisters were plotting against him. He could barely stand up, but with each week he made Steve drive him to the 2 Zankous that Zovig managed and open the safe so he could count the receipts. Steve asked his father if he could ever find it in his heart to forgive her. He said, quote, "God will forgive the devil before I can forgive my mother," he said. Because this is a mother, not the devil. So his mother, his sister, all of this non-communication during his cancer hit him, as understandably so, very, very hard.
So they felt slighted, kind of, from what was happening, how he was kind of going to proceed after he died?
Yeah, I guess so. But again, there's no communication around it. There's just like a wall, which, again, if you're suffering, if you're dying, and not even that, in normal circumstances, that would be so incredibly cruel. But in these circumstances specifically, where it's like This is a person who took care of his mom and who lived with her and his family, and they were so close-knit for his whole life. And one day it all stops because he makes a decision during his last days to provide for his kids. Cold. On January 14th, chicken gristle. On January 14th, 2003, Medeiros woke up, took a shower, and got dressed. According to his wife, he put on a white silk suit he hadn't worn in 20 years and left his house with his usual 2 handguns. But he wasn't going to Zankou's. He had called his sister at work and arranged a meeting with her and his mother to discuss family affairs. He maneuvered his black BMW down the steep canyon and parked in front of his sister's house. He was now wearing a dark brown jacket with gray pants, according to witnesses. Maybe he changed his clothes on the way, or maybe his wife's memory had played a trick on her. It feels like an interesting detail, one that maybe it's like foreshadowing. In any case, I will let you kind of pontificate on that. A housekeeper led him into the dining room where his 45-year-old sister, Zoe, was standing. She was dressed in blue jeans and a long-sleeved brown sweater. Her hair was curly like his, as if she had just gotten out of the shower herself, and it was tinted a strange red. She asked him to take a seat at the dining room table and poured him a glass of lemonade. He chatted pleasantly with her for a half hour while he waited for his 76-year-old mother to come home from work. When she did, a little after 2 p.m., she was carrying a big box of food. She set the food down on the kitchen table, put on her white slippers, and greeted her daughter and then her son. Medeiros waited about 5 minutes and then reached for the gun in his waistband. He grabbed the handle, put his finger on the trigger, and extended his arm across the table and over the pitcher of lemonade. He fired once pretty much point blank into his sister's head. The bullet knocked her off the chair. She fell face down on the granite floor. Then he turned to his mother. She was screaming and running towards the door. He chased her down and stood in front of her, raised his gun and waited long enough to hear her plead for her life. "Don't shoot, please," she said in Armenian. "Please don't shoot." He fired once in her chest. She staggered backward, falling flat and face up on the floor. She looked up at him and raised her right hand. He fired a second bullet, a third bullet, a fourth, fifth, sixth, 7th, and 8th. As he looked around the room, he saw his 23-year-old nephew trembling halfway up the stairs. He didn't say a word to the young man he'd once regarded as his 5th son. He turned away and walked a dozen paces to the leather couch in the living room. He sat on the couch, pointed the gun at his right temple, and fired. Medeiros' registration of the Zankou trademark lapsed in 2000. Rita believed the chain's good name belonged to her as part of the 1991 split. But during probate, she received a letter from lawyers representing Zovig's 2 sons. They intended to challenge her claim. She filed suit, and they went to trial. In late 2006, the court ruled that the trademark belonged to both sides. Rita's in-laws and one of her nephews then countered with a lawsuit of their own, alleging wrongful death and seeking tens of millions of dollars from Medeiros' estate. But their lawyers had failed to file within the statute of limitations, and the suit was dismissed. The rift is still present in the Iskenderian family, and it probably won't be mended. Zankou restaurants still, as you know from us eating it tonight, all over, making food for everyone locally. It's a very, very sad story. It still is very painful from what I've read from the family members that exist and still work there. Dark part of LA culture.
I think the majority of people that know about Zankou and eat it probably don't know the story. It comes up if you look for it, especially Los Angeles crime. Yeah. Because it's such a local story.
It's local and it's specific and the details are really intense. And it was widely, most of my sources were the LA Times. It's really been widely reported here. And also, I don't think a lot of restaurants have this kind of mythology, even from the very beginning.
Now, if something happens, we did an episode on the Burger Chef murders, but that was specific to one Burger Chef. This is the dynasty of Zankou chicken has this kind of really dark history.
Yeah.
But it still kind of moves on, goes on and moves on. But that these people took their chicken very seriously.
Yeah.
That's how important it was to them where business is always business, but I think it was, I think, more about how important it was to them and probably how important it was to the communities that they lived.
Totally.
It wasn't something that they didn't really see people enjoying. It wasn't like they were a CEO somewhere who owns a big chain. They, were kind of really still very much part of it, and they would rather die or kill than let it go in a direction they didn't want it to go.
And I don't think I emphasized how much money these restaurants made this family. Like, I guess it goes without saying because of how much, violence and fracture there was, but these restaurants made this family so much money. They all had live-in servants. They all had, houses, nice cars. Like it was a family.
Not far from where we are, right? And especially in Glendale, it's like extremely close, especially where I am. It's not like it's somewhere else in the Hollywood Hills. And you're talking about Sherman Oaks and talking about these places that are, it seemed like they were in a way sort of down to earth about their business because they're not if you walked into one, you would think it was just a strip mall chicken place. But if we learned anything from the mob and crime and the way things are run, it's the same story. It's a similar story at least, but it's really, it's a legitimate business. But families that are kind of split and it's probably very intense to run a business like that.
To work, live, and own with your family. Like, there's no separation. Very intense. And then when something changes or when someone slights you, that's got to hit so, so hard.
My father and brother owned a pizza/chicken place in New Jersey.
Really? Wait, did you work there? Did you say?
I helped out. I was kind of young, but they made pizza and chicken. If I've learned anything, it's if you have both of those things, both of them cannot be good because you can't concentrate on one.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, they were both really good.
Ooh.
And looking back, they were two of the most Jewishest looking people. I think you would never ever believe they would have anything to do with pizza or chicken, fried chicken.
Wow. Us Jews are not known for our culinary prowess.
It was for a fun fact, it was in kind of a crime thing. It was in the same town as the movie Lean on Me. Lean on Me?
Yeah,
Patterson,
of course.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
It was in that town.
Huh.
So it was
you have your own family mythology.
Somebody want to do a podcast episode about it? It's pretty interesting.
I'll pass.